Well,
Couldn't do it.
then you're grinding it to the point where it becomes dull, and then you're no longer sharpening the spear. See what I did there? You're welcome.
Welcome to the Sharpen the Spear podcast, where we help home service pros cut through the noise, sharpen their business tools, and reclaim the profit, freedom, and impact they've been missing. I'm your host, Richard Walsh, Profit Freedom Coach, and I'm here to help you stop grinding and start growing. Let's sharpen the spear. And we are back on STS, Sharpen the Spear podcast, with another incredible guest. I've got Marchem Pfeiffer with us today. And Marchem, as we always do on STS, no one knows Marchem better than Marchem. Marchem, give us the backstory, bring us up to speed, and we're going to get into the conversation.
Wonderful. So I always tell people that the basis of who I am is when I joined the Air Force. So that's the foundation of who I am. That's where I got all my core values, the integrity first, and all the other stuff that comes with it. But along the way, I've tried to figure out who I should be and what I want to be in that process. So I've dabbled in, I was an assistant principal. I've been director of education services for the Ohio National Guard. I've worked federal, I've worked state, and I'm still trying to figure out what that actually means. But along the way, what I've tried to do is say, I've made mistakes and how can I learn from them? And how can I become a better leader because of that?
Yeah,
so sometimes what I say also is that I led the mission while feeling completely lost because of burnout from different things that happened of different leaders that didn't know what they were doing. And how can I learn from them doing the wrong thing and not make the same mistake on my end?
Yeah, I think a lot of times we've all, I think, depending on your time in the game, I mean, in life, you've probably served under some poor leaders. Okay. Even if it's at your entry level job, your first job, you probably had some bad leaders because those tend to be fast food and other places like that. And I always tell people, Markham, it's like, okay, you got high school kids, never worked before, and you got seniors who are just doing this to do something to keep busy. Then you got these middle-aged managers in the middle angry at everybody because no one knows what to do and no one cares. So it's quite a mix, but that's the model. You know what I mean? So you're probably not getting super high quality leadership in those positions. You're kind of people who are put into a system, right? And they're trying to function. So it's kind of interesting.
I always say that Simon Sinek in Leaders Eat Last, he always says that what we do is we take the most successful people in their niche or in their whatever they're trying to do, and we move them up, but with them, we stop training them on how to be actual leaders. And this is why I'd say a significant portion of people that are in leadership positions should be. Right. So there's no follow up to, hey, how are you actually discussing things with the people under you? And does that matter? Are you building a culture? Are they actually listening to you? Are you delegating in the correct way? Right. These are all things that go into leadership. Often people are stuck in the fact that now I'm the boss, so I'm going to act completely different. And they lost what got them to that point.
Yeah. A lot of them are, again, they're great at what they do. And if you really ask them, that's what they want to do, what they do. They don't want to lead a bunch of people. For like you said, they don't have training. I deal with this all the time. They're good at what they do. Oh, we'll make them a manager. We'll make them a lead, a shift lead, or whatever. And then they're just wandering around with safety glasses and steel-toed boots going, well, hey, man, you didn't show up yesterday. How come? It was my flat tire. Okay. Then they don't have a system. They don't have the training in place to bring these people. It's like they're not. What's the qualification? If I walked in and I didn't do the job, why would you hire me as that lead or a manager? Right?
So that's the better question. Yeah, that's exactly. Absolutely the better question.
Like, if you're not building a system, a place where they can get qualified to lead, okay, because leadership isn't born. You're not born with it. You know, it's created, it's trained, just like grit. It's the same thing. You learn it. You know, so we got, and I see this all the time, Markham. This is the missing element, especially frontline. I work a lot of frontline guys, and it's really important, like, because everything gets bottlenecked there. Turnover, right? You lose a lot of people through poor leadership. That's probably the number one, I think. You know, let me know what you think, but the number one reason for turnover is one poor leadership, and the second one is really a lack of systemization in the process.
100%. So I always said that, you know, part of it is that you either innately have the ability to lead or you can be taught to be a lead, right? To be a leader in that process. See the old adage of nurture versus nature, and who is helping you along the way. But yes, that people don't leave jobs; they leave terrible management. They do. They leave things that are in place that there's no systems, there's no procedures, there's no follow up, there's no accountability, right? So I had a boss that she used to tell me, I don't know why you come with these brand new ideas. Every day here is like Groundhog Day. And I was like, outstanding. And so, like my dad always used to say, and he still says to this day, is that, so when did you know? When did you know that it was time to leave there and go off and do your own thing, right? When did you know that this person was going to have your back or support you or do right by you, right? When did you know that the phrase of, if you're a great leader, you're teaching your team how to be great leaders themselves, and they go off and be great leaders, right? So if you're not doing that as a leader, then what are you actually doing? Other than collecting a paycheck, other than having a status check, right? Other than creating a codependency with this title, but you're not becoming who you're supposed to be as a leader. Then there's a huge misalignment. Huge misalignment.
Yeah, I think it's the overall mindset of self-improvement. Okay. It's like, it doesn't matter, regardless of the position, first day on the job, never done anything, you're unloading a truck, or, you're hired as the manager, like in a new position, meaning you haven't done a lot in this, but you have managerial skills. You still got to up the skills. They have to match, right? You have to have, I always would tell my kids, I said, well, there's only two things you got to do to be successful. I go, show up early and ask, what else can I do? And so it's the same principle. It's like, what more can I do? How can I learn more? Where can I go to get better at this? You start asking those kind of questions, no one's going to tell you, don't worry about it. They're going to like, well, you do this and do this. That'd be great. Should I be doing something on my own outside of here to get better? I said, you ask those questions. I told them, I go, you do those two things, you'll like be the CEO in a couple of years. Okay. Because nobody else does it,
Yeah.
And it's that initiative to learn and improve that really is key. I was just a bunch more stuff to it, but you got to begin somewhere.
Well, I also hope that the environment's right for that, right? So is the culture there where you're allowed to even ask questions, or you asking questions, do people feel an unease to, is this person coming for my job? Maybe, right? But also, if I'm coming for your job, that means you left an opening for me, and you're not doing your job correctly. Right. So if you're in a position in an environment of openness and meeting people directly where they're at, right? You can have these questions like, hey, what else should I be doing? Is there something I should click on? Right. My dad always says, who else should I be talking to? Which is a great question, right? Okay, I got this from you. Thank you for that. Who else do you recommend that's really on your radar, or somebody that's helped you along the way that potentially ask some more questions for me? But again, there has to be an openness, right? There can't hold this close to the vest. You have to be willing to help the people around you. Which is why I'm huge into servant leadership and being bigger for the community and bigger for the mankind and Earth as a whole. So, I mean, that's part of what I'm trying to do consistently every single day.
Yeah, I think the issue, a big stumbling block for a lot of leaders now, is you have 5 generations working together, from the boomers down to Gen Alpha. Okay. Like, you start looking at that, and none of them, each generation reacts completely different to things, needs to hear different things or learn different ways. And now try to do that, try to conduct that hot mess of an orchestra. Okay. It's very, very challenging, and you have to know who they are. This is part of the process of leadership. You have to know, who's doing what, how to speak to this person, how to speak to that person. Now, back in the day, I'd be like, well, no, just do what I tell you. Well, now there's people who want to know why. Okay. That's not a bad question. Like, it's actually based on purpose. Like, they want to actually have a purpose for what they're doing. Okay. When there's nothing wrong with that. When people have purpose, guess what they do? They show up to work, and they like to work, and they don't leave because they're being fulfilled. They want to know what the purpose is. So, but you again, you have to operate inside these different generations and make them all, be cohesive so you can get the job done. So that's some skill sets you got to develop, and that may change because guys are aging out, right? But not as soon as they used to. And
It's
that's what I
strategic,
think.
right? And yeah, we've upped the retirement age, right? So we're saying sustainability of people don't have enough in their for retirement. They'll have to keep working until they're 75, 76, 80, whatever it is right at this point, right? And by the time that, I'm at retirement age, Social Security won't exist anymore, right? So what am I doing now that's going to set myself up to be successful, but um, while also not doing things that go against my values or the boundaries I have for myself, or the work-life balance I'm trying to create. I always say that people leave poor leadership not because they're searching for more money. It's because they're searching for the quiet peace that comes from knowing that they're actually being respected and valued, and that they're not just a number on the budget, right? That they bring something to the table that I would say I hired you for a reason. Now go do that job, right? So I've had a lot of terrible bosses along the way. I think at one point I was a terrible boss. I could have learned from all that, right? Look myself in the mirror, hold myself accountable, say, hey, I could have said that completely different. I could have framed that in a different way. I could have brought them in and allowed them to talk without talking over them, right? These are things that I learned along the way from terrible leaders, and I became a terrible leader at one point myself. So I had another boss that he would be texting people ideas at 10:30 at night. He'd be on vacation with his family and he's sending text messages at midnight. When he eventually replaced me with someone else, one of his friends, he was still sending me messages on LinkedIn at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, what actually is going on, right? So when you get to the point of you're in a leadership position and you couple that with having fragile ego syndrome, right? Of imposter syndrome, with all these things that come with that, but you don't allow yourself to actually grow into the position, right? Then in turn, you're missing out on so many things. And often you get either burnout or you get let go. It's one or the other. There's no in between, or you stagger along until someone says, oh, okay, we missed all this. Now you need to go. Right. So what are you actually protecting at that point? That's the bigger question.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys, confidence is a big deal, right? Like people will hide, they'll fake it till they make it kind of thing, but they don't have the personal confidence, like who they are, okay, from an identity standpoint. And when you don't know who you are, it doesn't matter what the role is, because it's not about the actual role that you're performing. It's knowing who you are as an identity. And people get caught up. That guy with the 4 a.m. stuff, midnight stuff, he has an identity in that job, and that's all he's got to hold on to. So he's only thinking about that. His wife is wondering why they never talk to him, why he's texting the saying. His kids don't listen because he's always thinking about but he's always somewhere else. He's never present with the things that may truly matter because his identity isn't secure. So without that gig, without being that guy, he doesn't have an identity, so he can't exist outside that realm. And that's a big challenge for people because a lot of people are brought up, and whether they're, and I'm kind of air quoting, beat down, told they're nothing, whatever it is, they've never been shown like what their capabilities really are. They stop keeping score in sports and they do all this stuff, right? Like, so they don't know like how to win. They don't get the feeling of victory. Like that matters. I'm a champion boxer 6 days a week. I'm running in the morning. I'm boxing at night, working 2 jobs, doing all this to make this. I know what it's like to work hard and win. Now I walk around, I'm not walking around town, but I have a confidence to me. I've been, I asked a group once, they're all talking, they want to do all the security stuff. And I said, well, just show of hands, who's been punched in the face? Me. Okay. So y'all talking all this stuff. You got what's going to happen in your head. That's not how it's going to happen. Okay. So it's like, so there isn't a confidence there. They think they are till, stuff hits the fan. Right. So I think in this leadership thing, it's very similar. Again, they don't have the personal identity. I know you can speak to this. That identity is one of those critical aspects that I think a lot of people don't know how to work on.
That there's a philosopher, Ramdas. He always says, "Be here now." What level are you present at to the situation in front of you, right? So that's what goes with anything in life. Where are you at as a parent? Where are you at with the people that work under you, or that are, sponsors or corporate partners, whatever it is, right? How are you being present to that? And on top of that, being present also means truly understanding who you are. So when I was in undergrad, I have an undergrad degree in early childhood education and development. I haven't used it for a single second, but a lot of the foundational pieces of that I've used for the rest of my life, right? So what they teach you that as a teacher going into a brand new classroom, you should do a checklist of things in your background that could hinder how you deal with the kids or the students in front of you, right? Politically, your biases, things that happened to you in the past, things that, like you said, leave scars, right? That are going to hinder or affect the people in front of you. And I think that we should be doing that as leaders also, is doing a background check of ourselves, doing a diagnostic of what are the things that would cause me to be a weak leader? What are the things that would make me second guess myself that in turn affect my second guessing my opinions, second guessing my decision making, right? And then what are the things that don't allow me to, like you said, to be confident in the space? I think that's a big thing to work on, is being confident in who you are, understanding that what you bring to the table are experiences often many others don't have. There's no two of these journeys are the same, right? I always tell people that I could have stayed in the military. I had orders to go to Japan. I should have taken them. A lot of my friends stayed in, retired, are now GS-14, GS-15s for the federal government, right? They're working on their second or third retirement, right? Living high life. I said, but also I chose a route that I felt was best for me at that time, right? That was on me trying to understand who I am, who I'm becoming, and who I want to be. But also, I would say that, I wouldn't have my kids. I wouldn't have the friends I currently have. I wouldn't have the experiences that I can now openly talk with confidence about, right? There's reasons to all this. So my mom says, life is a chaotic mess sprinkled with bouts of happiness. It's true, right? Often, no one wakes up every day and they're happy about where they're at. Some people are like, okay, this is cool. I'm like alive another day. I have wonderful family, wonderful friends. My bills are being paid. And other people can be super over the top wealthy and be completely unhappy with where they're at, right? And that's going back to knowing yourself. And that's going back to having a level of confidence of, I'm supposed to be here. I was meant to be here. I took a lot of turns, often in the wilderness, in the ditch, in crashes, all kinds of stuff. But get to this point where I speak from experience and I speak with confidence, right? And it goes back to being present to who you need to be for the people around you.
Yeah, for sure. I remember I always tell my kids too, I say, you don't have to know what you want to do. What's better is knowing what you don't want to do. The Marine Corps, for me, taught me what I don't want to do, and that was be a lifer.
Right.
So yeah. I don't take direction well. Okay, that's something I can work on, but I'm going to work on that outside the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
Because I just, so I learned, and then, I got that. I'm a great employee for about 12 months, and I got to run the company.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know my limits, right? I work for myself. I have for 35 years, different things. I've failed by myself and, grown in the businesses and everything else. But like you said, it's really about that understanding. No one has all the strengths. No one has all weaknesses, right? So I am, this is just tying to kind of delegation, but a thing you said earlier is totally true. Leaders build other leaders, right? That's the great leaders. That's exactly what they do, because you can't lead everything. Okay. It just doesn't work that way. You're president of the United States. You're a megalomaniac, like most presidents are, but you still got everybody doing stuff. You're telling people what to do, right? So it's not you doing everything. Same principle, like find the strengths to my weakness. Right. Who can pick up this? Who can pick up this? I'm never going to talk to this person about this because I just bring the sword to cut the head off. Okay. There's a way better way to do it than how I would do it in that situation. So I give that to someone else. So there was a lot of things in business as I developed as a leader. I was not a great leader. I was do it, get it done, accomplish the mission at all costs.
Right.
That was me. coming out of the core, man. And that's just what we're taught. Right?
Absolutely.
There's no failure. There's no quit. Right. And we do that and it works. It's pretty ugly. Okay. I achieved a lot of success and everything else, but I didn't bring or listen to the great people around me who were way beyond me. I mean, billionaires and guys who have done just unbelievable things and have 1,000 people working for them. And here I am managing 4. You know what I mean? Like great guys because I hired myself.
Right.
And hired, so there really wasn't any managing. We're all like, hey, we all get along because we all think the same way.
Right.
Like you don't get that opportunity. Okay. So usually you're going to be dealing with these different personalities, different mindsets, different backgrounds, different everything, right? Income levels, where they come from and everything else. And these are all parts of the equation that you have to sift and figure out like, well, okay, this I get, this I don't get at all. Okay. So either I got to learn how to deal with that or get the right person, like, and put them in front of these people. Right. So same principle, but you have to really be able to start seeing these things. You have to diagnose the people on your team. That's what you have to do.
Absolutely. I would say, like, you mentioned being a bottleneck, right? So that's part of the delegation process. But you when you become a bottleneck, you become the single point of failure, and that greatly hinders your success level, right? When you're so afraid of making a decision or allowing others to make a decision, right? With your grace, then everything's held so tight and so wound up, and then you're afraid to make decisions beyond that point, right? Yeah. So I always say that. If your absence breaks everything, then that's not leadership. That's captivity.
Right. That's right.
Right. That's you having a codependency to having to be in the business, marrying yourself to the business where you're no longer aligned with the things around you. So there's a study done by a man named John Johnson. He did it with the Harvard Business Review about founders and founder syndrome. Right. So you guys have the higher level of burnout marks, right? So it's at almost 71% currently. The divorce rate is 55%. The amount of them that they talked to that mentioned that this was affecting their mental health is almost at 90%. Because then this becomes your singular focus is I am my business, right? And I don't know anything else. Then you can't separate yourself. Then you can't allow people to correctly step in when you're not there. You can't be at ease when you're on vacation, right? You're still texting people at 4:00 in the morning, right? That becomes your life, and that's all you know. Now, some people are that's how they're built, but I mean, look at Gary Vee. He's working 12, 15, 16-hour days. He's worth $200 million, and he got divorced 2 years ago, right? So every once in a while he would leave the office, hang out with his wife and his kids, and then go right back to doing 6-hour days. Why are you doing 16-hour days with your company's worth? Yourself, your own personal wealth, not the company. Your personal wealth is $200 million. That's something you have to ask yourself. When is it going to be enough? Right? How much is too much? And then what are you doing that for at that point? Is that a vanity thing? Is that a, hey, look at me, look at how much money I have thing? Then you're not doing it for the right reasons.
No, I think with that, again, the identity, I suffered from that my first 20 years in business. As things were collapsing, you realize like the thing when it's your identity, what you do, when I tell people, you don't understand, and you could just give a great example with Gary Vee, you make really bad decisions.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's all about propping yourself up. I was always about the next great thing. I have to do another great thing. I need more accolades. Right. I need to outdo that guy and this person. I keep doing that. And, all for my family. Right. All for my, I'm air quoting I'm not doing it for the family. That's the lie I tell myself. I'm not at the kids' games. I'm not present with my wife, not doing that, but that's why I have a business. So I always tell people, Mark, I'm like, business is a mistress. Okay. It is like it will call you at night. It's going to want to see you all the time. It won't let you go. Yep. It wants all of this. It wants whatever you have. It doesn't want you to have. It wants your full attention. It'll suck you in. And that's the owner prison that I talk about, right? You're in there, and man, businesses destroy families.
They do.
They crush, they ruin them. I mean, It's generation. Like you ruin not just you and your spouse, but now your kids.
Yep.
And I always say, more is caught than taught. Your kids are watching you do this, and to them, this becomes normal. This is the anticipation. Yes. So either they'll get into business like my dad, or mom or whatever, and then they'll go down the exact same road. They're not going to go, I do, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be with my family, but you don't know how because you were never taught by your parents. Same reason I always tell people, Mark, I'm like, you know why your kids don't want your business? Because they don't want to be you. You were never around. You never spent time with them. You never hung out with their mother. It's like, I don't want that. You just flush that down the toilet. You sell it to someone else. I'm going to go be a school teacher. So I don't know. They're going to go some anti-business thing because they just saw a disaster. That's what people miss.
You start to normalize the insanity of that, right? Mm-hmm. And so I used to work for 2012 to 2015. I worked for Ohio State. I was in a program that helped first-generation low-income students get into college, right? But that required I was working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. We would take them to, say we took all of our students to a cultural event like Lion King. I wouldn't get home until midnight and have to be right back at work at 7:00 in the morning. So my wife at the time, I'm divorced, we would see each other in passing. We would hand our son off and then keep it moving, right? And then I thought about it. I was like, I will never do this again. I don't care what you're paying me. I don't care what my title is. I will never do this again. Because to your point of our kids looking up to us, right? I always want to lead with empathy and compassion, and I want them to see that hard work does pay off, but you can't hard work at the cost of what? At the cost of not being around, right? So like there's people are like, oh, you can go take this job and this, that. I'm like, for what? Why do I want to do that? Yeah, that's an amazing salary, but for what? So then I never see my kids again. And then to your point, then they either they go so far away from it or they emulate it.
Right.
And then they do the same thing to their family. And now we're doing generations of this, right? Mm-hmm. And so I had to stop that really quick of like, okay, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to figure it out. Eventually I will get to where I think I need to go. It's going to take some time, some effort, some hustle, right? But not hustle at the cost of my own sanity. Yeah. Or my own normalcy.
It's that hustle and grind culture. Like yes. It's a lie. Okay. I tell people, listen, I get it. You start a business. I have not figured out the secret sauce where you don't work really hard the first 2 years. The problem, look, it's been 10 years. I've repeated the first 2 years 5 times. And you've never gotten off that hamster wheel and you don't know what to do. And now it's just, I'll work harder. Working harder doesn't do it. It's not fixing anything. It compounds the problem, So these guys are all, you got to just work harder. You got to grind more. It's like, yeah, that's like some pretty bad advice. I mean, you grind all day, but you know what? Take a knife blade, start the grinding wheel, and just hold it on there longer and longer. Tell me what happens to your blade. You don't have a blade. It disintegrates. It goes away. You grind it to nothing. All right. That's the hustle and grind culture. Drive you till you drop, and then we'll just call you weak.
Well, then you're grinding it to the point where it becomes dull, and then you're no longer sharpening the spear. See what I did there? You're welcome.
I love it. I was waiting for that, Markham. I need you to get that in.
Circle back there for you. That's so what I also say is that hustle is just survival with good PR, mm-hmm. right? So it sounds good. We talk about it all day long. You got to put your nose to the ground. You got to grind. You got to hustle. But again, at what cost? So there's the studies they've done with people that live, especially like in Korea and those kind of places in the blue zones, people that live to be 100 or 95, whatever it is. They don't say, "Oh, I'm so happy I had a multi-million-dollar company. I never got to see my kids, and I never even got to vacation past my state." No one says that. At the end of the day, what they say is what the true value of what I bring and what I brought to, Earth or mankind as a whole is that I was a good person. I was a good friend. I was a good parent. I was whatever I needed to be for people around me, right? Granted, I don't knock the culture of being an entrepreneur or being a business owner. I have very successful friends that are worth a ton of money right now, and they've found a good balance, but most people don't. Most people are, this is more important to me than anything. And to what he said was, there's a there's a thought leader who is also a business owner, and he tells the story of his he had all these huge clients, like six-figure clients and seven-figure clients, and they have this huge mansion, all these really expensive cars, and he was still in the basement working all the time. And he got this next big client, and his wife said, um, "Yeah, don't lie to me or yourself and say this is for the kids and for me. We have enough. We're at a point of like we don't have to worry about our bills ever again. And you're still talking about this is for us. No, this is for you, right? Then that your sole focus is this level of being selfish and not understanding that this affects everybody in your life, right? Again, it's the juxtaposition of there has to be some level of grind, some level of grind, some level of putting a lot of hours into this to make it work, right? There has to be that, but also it can't be this is your only thing. It can't be that, right?
Yeah.
That what
It can't be the scorecard. The problem is people make it the scorecard, and so they got to keep winning. They never get to the final inning till they check out. And when they check out, they're all by themselves. There's a book called Entrepreneurial DNA by Joe Abraham, and really great dude, incredible book. But it's called the Bossy Quadrant. It's builder, opportunist, specialist, and innovator. And he breaks them down, positives and negatives. The builder is someone who can scale the business, right? They scale it very quickly. They can go from 0 to 5 million, 10 million, 20 million and build this thing right away, get all the real estate, right? Do all the stuff, have the factories and do all that. He says the negatives are they do that. It's just, they leave a wake of bodies behind them. They just step on over there. They have no family. They get to the top of the mountain and have a giant pile of cash, no one to share it with, right? And then there's, the others, like, and there's an opportunist in this, but you look at those, and the cool thing about that book is it shows the positive and the negative. But if you know the negatives, because see, I'm a diagonal on that. I'm a builder, innovator. It's a diagonal, right? And which is rare. Okay. But I needed to know those negatives because as soon as I read that, I'm like, oh, I kind of did that. I totally get where they come from, and that is spot on. But if you know them, now you can tailor, right? Like we said earlier, well, what else should I be doing? What should I ask? Who should I talk to? That was like, damn, man. Then I've shared that was in 2014 or something when that came out. So like for 11 years, I've known this, and it's been super helpful. Like just knowing that, hey, I'm going a little off that way. I'm a little too much builder right now. Got to mellow out a little bit. There's ambition and everything. That's all good. But that at all costs, it's that at all costs, I'm going to get this. Like that's a dangerous place to be. Ambition, we always like to say, belongs in the passenger seat, not the driver's seat. When ambition's in the driver's seat, you're going to end up off the road and down the cliff. Right. So we always got to tether that kind of stuff. But that's knowing yourself. That's that self-awareness aspect that a lot of entrepreneurs actually have that aspect. That's one of their number one traits, is self-awareness. It's just sometimes they don't know how to apply it properly. Right. They're self-aware, but then where's the correction? How do I know what to do? I'm kind of heading towards that cliff, but what I've done so far is like, it's just propelling me. The brakes aren't really working. So how do I do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say that there has to be some level of guided scaffolding in your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm about to go off the cliff. I've worked way too long. I'm stressed out. I'm burnt out. I've created a level of anxiety because now I have all these people under me that rely on me to pay their own bills, right? But there has to be, who else can I turn to that can guide me down that? Hey, I see how you're doing this. Let's try it a different way, right? Let's try it a different way. I guess the real cost of failure is a level of success that doesn't fit in your life. You don't have the boundaries. You don't have the awareness. You don't have the accountability to, I can't keep going down this road. I'm shortening my lifespan by how many years and for what? For people to cheer me, to announce me when I come in the room? What is it that's driving you? Again, I don't knock people for going crazy with it and making a lot of money, right, and all that stuff, right? Um, Mark Cuban said the other day that the difference between him and a couple other of his billionaire friends is that um, I'm good with what I have, and nothing else drives me to make the next billion. I'm good with what I have, right? He's like the issues become when that's never enough.
Right.
I have 5 billion, I need to make 50 billion, right? That kind of stuff. Or for the lower people like myself, right? I'm trying to get to millions, right? So I often daily, I have to remind myself daily that um, be at peace with your choices, be at peace with deciding that this is the right move for you, and stop making temporary stops. Do the right thing right in front of you and be present to that.
Yeah, it really is. We talk about it often from a business standpoint on exit strategy. It's how much and how long.
Right.
If you can start with that, how long do I want to do this and how much do I want to get out?
Right.
Like that's a great place to start because now you have a tether. Okay. And then you reverse engineer and now you can create a path. You're like, oh, I know what I need to do at each phase and I can execute, achieve that. Great. I got that. Okay. Oh, I said 10 years and 10 million or whatever it is. Now I'm at year 9. Cool. I'm on track because I've done the right things. So I've stuck to my plan and I'm going to have a nice little exit. And I'll go on to the next thing. I don't know what that is right now, but I'll know I can step away from this. I'm not married to it. You know, I've built it with other people are running it. I got all the right people in place. It's very attractive to a buyer, right? Because they can also buy it and it runs itself. My whole goal in those, Markham, is comes to that 10-year, interested buyer comes in, we negotiate, maybe I get my 10 million, maybe I get 10.5, whatever. We shake hands. I'm out the door, they're in, no one knows the business sold because it's run that well by itself. That's like the sweet spot, right? That's where you want to go. Like, imagine if you had that mindset. You know, you're not going to be married. You're not going to be owned by the business. It's going to serve you. You're not going to serve it. You know, and then all these things we're talking about, you actually be able to achieve. You know, because
you start with the end in mind.
That's it. Exactly.
That's the solution, right? And what are you putting in place to create that solution? I would say that that block, I think it's called a hawk or chalk or whatever it is that holds the airplane in place at the airport.
Mm-hmm.
Once everything, all the diagnostic, the maintenance, the food's ready, the water's ready, the crew's on place, they pull it and they let it go. Yep. That's where you have to get to with business and a lot of things in life where you've done all the preparation, you've created the solutions, you've created the systems, the procedures, everything's on you, but you're okay with letting people go with that idea and going with it. Like you said, you're not tethered to that. And you're not anchored to that either.
Yeah, to me, it's more fun. I come into a business like, okay, well, you don't have any systems. Let's start here. And we just go and I build it out and I help them build it out and get that. Okay, next. All of a sudden, 6, 7, 8 months down the road, everything's humming. They're like, they have their time back. You know, like if they're the main salesperson, I'm like, well, that we got to change. You don't have a system. You're great. But what happens if you check out? What happens if you're down for 3 weeks, if whatever? Like, so we build it. I mean, it's a lot of fun. Like if business owners can grasp onto that, like no one wants to build all the systems. I'm being, you know, it's like they all want it done, but no one wants to do the work because it's a little tedious, but it's only one time. You only have to do it once and then you're done. It runs everything. So we come in and we help them, right? We help their team and we put it all together. But that when the light bulb goes off and they see all this freedom they got created for themselves, and now they can actually go be with their family and do all the things they wanted to do and make incredible money. They're like, that's it. That's what we want. So that's part of what I do, right? It's part of how I want to free these guys from that owner prison. I want to save their family. That's like my overall goal. I really want to save your family, you know, and I've got those responses from spouses. Like, this was amazing. We just spent 2 weeks at the beach with all 5 kids. He was never on the phone, totally present. 8 years, I never thought this could happen. And here we are. I'm like, it's not, that's why I do what I do. Because those kind of results, and now his kids might actually get in the business. it's
because they see the P.
Oh, this is cool. I want to do that. I want to be like my dad. He's always on vacation with us. He's doing this and this. Yeah, I want to do that. How do I do that business? We all know that person, right, Mark? We all know that guy who's got that sweet running business. He's always golfing. He goes to lunch with his wife, and he's driving a nice car. He's got all these. You're just like, dude, you're like, and he's just no anxiety. No, he's not strung tighter than a $10 guitar. He's just like, be that guy. Who's that guy? I want to be that guy. I had a client like that. Again, Billy, I'm just the coolest guy. You know, just an amazing individual who just does everything.
Yeah.
From professional sports teams he owns, to manufacturing plants, to investing in country singers. The guy, and just having a good time. And
that's where it should be.
Right. And he gave me so much great advice, Markham, that I took none of. He was just an amazing human being, man. When that guy died, he had like 3,000 people at his funeral. So that's not Mr. All I Want Is Money.
Yeah. That's leaving a legacy.
He touched people, man. It was,
yeah.
I miss the guy. Him and his wife were just amazing. All self-made,
My friend talks about, he lives in Harrisburg, I believe, but he lives on this hill because, Pennsylvania is all hills everywhere, right? Especially closer to Pittsburgh. And the higher up you get the hill, the more the person's worth. Right. So he said, he's like, I live in the middle part of the hill, so I'm making decent money, right? He's like, but I know the 2 people who live at the top of the hill. He's like, and they couldn't be more different. The one guy he'll tell you all day long, oh, you see my $250,000 car I'm driving? You go inside his house. Do you see my $50,000 vase I just bought the other day? Mm-hmm. And the other guy, who's worth way more than that guy, never speaks like that.
Right.
His car is 10 years old. Like, he barely goes on. Like, right, he hangs out with his wife and hangs out with his kids. And it's like, and my friend's like, yeah, like that other guy is worth like $500 million. You could never tell that.
Right.
Because he never flaunts it. It's never in your face. He's always down to earth. He's always polite and respectful. And I always say that it's okay to have money. It's not okay to treat people differently.
Right.
Right. Because that's the end result, is that then you go to your funeral and there's nobody there.
Yeah, this guy, he'd just roll up to my store. I had like a store in the corner. He just, on a Saturday, him and his wife, when he has like 100 cars. And he like rolls up when he goes, come on, get in. Come take us and show us some of your work. Say, water features. I'm like, all right, Gary. So we jump in, we drive, we go here, go over here. And they walk around, look at it and stuff. He's like, that's awesome. He drives back. Okay, great seeing you. And he drops me off and off he goes. I'm like, that's just weird in a great way. It's like,
yeah, he's enjoying his life.
He's thinking of me.
Yes.
I do all his work at this place and everything, all these.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but to have that I'm going to just call it consciousness of like, let's go grab Richard, have him drive us around.
That's awesome.
Just call me out of the blue.
Yeah.
How's it going? I'm like nothing, you know what I mean? In that sense, but he had a way of connecting, very short, I'd call him the master of ADD, right? Yeah. I could close the deal in 3 minutes with him because I didn't have 5 minutes. Okay. Yeah. So I'm always ready to go, but it was just a relationship that was fascinating. And I'm glad I cherish the privilege that for over 10 years having with this guy to see how it should be done, because his son was not that way, who was in the business. So you see the difference, a self-made guy and all that stuff. And again, I'm not going to go totally down the road, but that experience for me was a big life changer, because I got to see it, be around it, be respected by a guy like that. Like, we're eye to eye. We could just have these conversations, whatever. It was really cool being part of his life, having that privilege, and those are the examples I always pull from.
I always say that, I know we're coming to the end here. I got in a car accident, 15 years ago, and the tow truck that picked me up, the guy shows up, the guy driving's in a 3-piece suit, and I was so confused. And I was like, wait, you're the driver? He's like, no, I own the company. I was on my way to another business meeting and I decided to come pick you up. And I was like, so he told me his background story of like, he's like, no, I own several businesses. And so we're going down this road. He's like, I own that building and that building and that apartment building and that business and that business and that business. He's going on, right? And he's like, one day my kids challenged me that I couldn't just pick a random business from the phone book and make it successful. So we landed on a tow truck company. I made it successful and my sons left. So I'm still here because I like doing it, not because it's just he's like, and he's so happy and joyful and but he's like, I don't have to do this. I just because I like to do it.
Right.
I like talking to people and meeting new people and being part of the solution when people are having a bad day. And I'm like, that's stayed with me. That's I've held that close for like, how can I be the smile or the happiness in someone's life when they're having a bad day, right? How can I be the helping hand? How can I be the support that people need while still doing it in a way that I can still be successful in my life?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I try to deal with every single day.
Yeah, that's a good process. I think more people need to excuse me, consider that because again, it's a short life, but how we operate, how we interact with people, okay, that's a leadership trait. It just is. They don't have to be on your team, working for you, be an employee, be whatever. Like, it's just how you treat everybody. So I just treat everybody, the way they should be treated, right? With the questions and everything else. And I'm not the master. Okay. I'm in a constant state of learning. Okay. But I'm not who I was, 25 years ago. I'm not that leader. I'm way better. I can help people now. I can coach people in leadership. I can fix teams. I can do all that where I could have never done that 25 years ago.
Absolutely.
Over time and applying and what works, what doesn't work, who can I deal with? Who are all these people coming up? Who am I actually dealing with? And putting that package together, you start to see in a new way of doing things. And it's not foo-foo or anything like that. Literally, I'm still a pretty hardcore dude. Like when I tell people to do something, it's to do it. I don't mix words. I'm just about, let's get it done, but here's how we're going to do it. Right. It's not just my way or the highway. It's like, I understand the different people I'm working with and how we can get it done the best. Right. They all on the same page, right? We all have the same vision that we're going to accomplish. And if everyone understands the vision, we can all go get it together. But if they don't, if you're just doing this for the paycheck, you're not going to make it here. You know what I mean? Like it's not, you have to embrace the vision of wherever you're at. Otherwise, you're floundering. You don't have the purpose you talked about, right? You're thinking about the money. Well, then you're going to sell me out for $1 an hour and go down the road. So
100%.
You're not really going to be a part of the team, the culture. You're not going to be absorbed in that. People will stay for purpose. So it's purpose, recognition, and quality pay. Quality pay is third. And it should be, because people aren't driven by money. They're not driven by money.
Unless they're driven by money when you're not paying them enough.
Well, yeah, that too, but that's why quality pay, quality pay is,
yeah.
is a qualifier there. But really you look at like, if they have purpose, again, they'll come to work because they understand how they're the hero in that part of the journey, in that vision, accomplishing that. They understand that and it matters to them. Okay. They're not working just for the dollars. Like this, we're going to achieve this vision. They get the recognition for it, right? They get a pat on the back. They get an award. They get whatever that looks like in the business. Once you create that, and we try to instill that in a lot of businesses because they just don't look at it that way. It doesn't. And I used to be that way. Man, you know what your recognition is? A good night's sleep because you busted your hump. Okay, that was like, like I love that. I mean, no one, there's no, a laboring man knows, true rest. That was my thought. Like, man, if you work hard, dude, you're going to sleep good. This can be awesome, man. You're going to look at the accomplishment. I dug that hole by hand. Like that's my goofy mindset. Like I get it, but like, I don't do that anymore. But it's the overall principle of what is winning on the daily. What does success look like to that team member? What's the purpose? How do I always tell them they got to know how to win in the day, the week, the month, the quarter, and the year. If they know how to succeed every day and it's not a mystery job, they're going to be happy. Who doesn't want to win every day?
Absolutely.
We all want to win every day. Let's be winners. That's cool. But if you don't build the system so that they can do that, if you don't show them how to achieve success and what it actually looks like, quantifiable success every day, you're never going to have consistency in your workplace, right? You're never going to have a culture. But if you do, man, everything else is open then, because they'll listen, right? They're open to, to correction, right? To adjustment and everything else, because you've built a place where it's like, man, I just love being here. And it's all done the right way. So that's my final thoughts. I want you to give your final thoughts. I'll give you that for it.
Yeah. So I had this leader in the Air Force, and this is who I've strived to be daily since then, that no matter how busy she was, if you came to her desk, she stopped and whatever you needed. If we were working overtime, he would send us home and she'd stay by herself. She would come in early. She would leave late. And so when she wasn't around, she'd go on vacation. You did everything possible to not disappoint her. She never raised her voice. She never talked down to you. She never cussed. She never did any of that stuff. But she had such respect for who you were as a person that you wanted to be the best for her, right? So I'll leave you with this last thought, is that they often become their own business owner or entrepreneur for a sense of freedom that often ends up in burnout, right? So people need to get back to why they started the business. And that's for, hey, I can have this balance and still be successful in my life.
Yeah, very true. Very true. It's all about that. Got to have that for sure. So Markham, how can people follow you, get in touch with you? Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, so I have there's several things. I have my own website that has all my courses and tests and all that stuff. But what I'm trying to put people towards is I've created a diagnostic and a quiz. I found the happy medium between the Kolbe Index, Myers-Briggs, and Strength Finders, and it's all about aligning yourself as a leader. So people can take the quiz for free. That leads you in the direction of what next step should be. And also I have a book out right now. It's called Navigating Leadership from Toxicity to Triumph that people can check out on Amazon. And also, if you go on my website, there's places to get a hold of me. So multiple ways to get a hold of me. I look forward to talking to everyone, and it's been a pleasure to be on your podcast.
It's been a pleasure to have you, Markham. Thank you so much for the time today. And for everybody else, we'll see you on the next STS podcast. Thanks for tuning in to Sharpen the Spear podcast. If today's episode helped you think sharper, act smarter, or see new profit potential, do me a favor. Share it with a fellow home service owner and leave a quick review. Ready to find the profit hiding in your business? Head to sharpenthespearcoaching.com and book your free profit discovery call today. And until next time, keep sharpening.